Alright, what's going on, everybody? This is my first set of Pauper videos for my new weekly articles on puremtgo.com. I am your host, Arctic Ghost, and today I'm going to be playing Rugtron, or Tron, I think is how you pronounce it, in a tournament called Pauper Classic Tuesdays. Oops, sorry about the beeping. Yeah, I'm really professional. Uh, The Pauper Classic Tuesdays tournament takes, you can find out more information on gatherling.com. And now, uh, the tournament Swiss rounds are usually 3 to 4 rounds, depending on how many people show up, and we get a lot of people, all cool people, as far as I know. And I'm going to try to bring you at least, of course, 2 rounds of content. I mean, if I go 0-2, I might drop. Um, and I apologize for that. But at the least, I want to try to bring you 3 videos per article. So I'm gonna hope that I at least go 1 and 2 in every single tournament. Um, but yeah, getting to the deck. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Uh, I'm taking Pauper Tron. So what is Tron? If some of you may not exactly know, Tron are these 3 lands: Urza's Mine, Power Plant, and Tower. They assemble Voltron. So when you have these 3 lands out, you get 7 mana. This produces 3, and these produce 2, and you can just do so many spells in one turn. You can draw a bunch of cards. You can gain a bunch of life and play a bunch of big dudes. You can do a bunch of damage with this spell because for some reason they decided to print it at common back in the day, and just go big. And the deck is also very remarkably consistent. And if you get turn 3 Tron, it's pretty easy to win from there. Not a lot of decks can really handle it. It's just the way Pauper goes, in my opinion. I could easily be wrong, and I'm perfectly willing to be wrong. So without further ado, let's get into the deck list. And well, one last thing, I will leave a link to gatherling.com and the Pauper Classic Tuesdays info in my Pure MTGO article. And for if you guys are discovering this on YouTube and not through Pure MTGO, please, I recommend checking out MTGO. It is an awesome site. I've been reading up and watching content on there for a long time, and they have nothing but good people and good content producers, and you're gonna have a lot of fun checking it out. So I recommend it highly. So getting into the deck list, first up are the lands. So first up, you have the Tron lands. You always want 4 of each, of course, because this is the main engine of your deck. And then you have Shimmering Grottos, or you could use the new land from Battle for Zendikar, which does pretty much the same thing. Well, I think it's a reprint, but you get the point. I used to play 17 lands and only 1 of these. Don't do that. That is a bad idea, and you will lose a lot of games to that. As you can see, this deck is very color hungry, and of course these only produce colorless mana. So you're going to need things like this to help you out. And I believe 18 lands is actually the correct number after so much testing and just being, just constantly having problems with 17 lands. Oh, hold on a second. I apologize. I had to cough there, and I need to learn the hotkeys for this. So yeah, play 3 Shimmering Grottos, and then we have Haunted Fengraf. Um, Haunted Fengraf is just a lot better than it looks. I know because it has random in it, it might not seem that good. But really, every creature you have that you're returning is great in the late game, in the mid game. Obviously, returning these 2 are very good. Returning Mole Drifter is obviously just insane. Um, Mnemonic Wall is just great to return because you get to buy back your spells. And then even Seagate Oracle, as weak as it does get you card advantage, and it does block well in this format. You're going to be dealing with a lot of bear power creatures. What I mean by that are 2/2s and 2/1s and things of that nature. So I used to play 4, but I like 3 and 3. That's personally just me. So next up, we'll get to the 1 mana spells. You have Chromatic Spheres and Chromatic Stars. That's kind of the combo with Fenrir Marauder. A lot of decks in the format can't really outrace the life gain. And of course, not only do they cantrip, but they give you color. and that's exactly what you need. You know, you need red, you need green, and you need blue, and then even out of the sideboard, you need white. Some people even play black sideboard options like Doom Blades and things like that. I personally don't, but you know, if you're going all 5 colors, you're gonna need as much help as you can get. Trust me. Next is the card that I believe makes this deck uh, run so well, and probably makes this deck even as competitive as it is, which is Expedition Map. I'm sure most of you know what this is, especially if you've played EDH or things like that. So the whole uh, idea of the deck, or the whole joke, etc., is you go turn 1 Tron piece, play this, turn 2 Tron piece, crack it, get a third Tron piece, go this, or this, and then just go to town. Um, and it happens way more often than you would think. And also in the late game, getting one of these to help you with your colors, or getting a Haunted Fengraf to get back creatures, is actually quite good. And also the fact that you sacrifice it, which is good with Fenrir Marauder, is really just, you know, the icing on the cake. Um, Next up, I'll talk about Ancient Stirrings. Ancient Stirrings is not insanely impressive in this deck. I've even tried going to 3 at times, but the fact that it's basically like 4 extra expedition maps and can get you your chromatic effects, or even just get you some cantrips, is actually really needed in this deck. I think if the deck, like let's say this wasn't legal in Pauper, this deck would lose a bit of its grinding aspect because of this card. I mean, if Pauper didn't have this card legal, I think that this deck would lose a lot of its speed, which would make a lot of problems for the deck. But that's just my opinion. And then you have 5 removal spells. I have 2 Firebolt and 3 Flame Slash. Uh, a lot of weenie decks, this is obviously just great against, and this kills a lot of creatures. It kills Carapace Forger when it's metal crafted, which it should always be. It kills Mirror Enforcer. Um, really it kills everything, to be honest. Uh, and basically, because it says flashback, it gives you, instead of 5 removal spells, it gives you 7. So I definitely recommend Fireball, at least one. I've seen people play, you know, one of these, and then instead of these, they play Lightning Bolts, or they play 4 of these. Now, I understand why Lightning Bolt might be cute because it goes to the face, but I personally find Flame Slash to be better. Excuse me, because your creatures are just going to do all the damage, or a gigantic Rolling Thunder in the end. So getting to your 2 drops, we have 1 Prismatic Lens. I used to play 2, but I only play 1 now. It's not there so much for the ramp as it's there as kind of a 5th Prophetic Prism. Unfortunately, it doesn't cantrip, but sometimes the ramp does help a lot. I've kept a lot of 2-land hands with this, and it's done its job. Then you have Prophetic Prism, a great way to filter your mana to get color, and the fact that it cantrips is really just the icing. If it didn't cantrip, I don't think it would be anywhere near as good as it is, but since it does cantrip, since they did remember to put the line draw a card on it, it's pretty darn good. Next up is 3-drop, which is Seagate Oracle. Great blocker, great way to draw some cards. There's really not much else to say. I recommend playing 4 of them. Next up are the 5-drops, which is 1 Mnemonic Wall. I've been testing this a lot, and I think I used to play 2 of these instead, but then I wanted a way to get spells back. And so I was looking at either is it Chronarch or Mnemonic Wall. And I like Mnemonic Wall for the fact that it's an 0-4, it's harder to kill. But, you know, getting back a Flame Slash or an Ancient Stirrings or a Rolling Thunder, if you had to use it early, is actually just really, really good. You know, you only have 2 Rolling Thunders, and sometimes you have to use both of them early, and being able to get it back with Mnemonic Wall is just gravy. So I would just keep it. Mulldrifter I should really not have to explain here, but, you know, it's one of the premier Pauper creatures. It's one of the most famous creatures, if not the most famous Pauper creature, next to Delver, in my opinion. So, yeah, always play 4 of these. There's no excuse to be playing 3, I think. And then for Fenrir, this is the star of the deck, of course. It is a 6-mana 5/5, which wins the game pretty quickly, and can gain you. Let's say you played it and you didn't play any of these. 5 times 12 is at 60 life. Yeah, 60 life in total. That's a lot for a lot of decks to deal with. So I think the only deck that can really outrace this engine, if you do it early enough is probably Affinity because of a Tog plus Timur Battle Rage, and even then, Affinity has a very hard time dealing with this deck because of this card. So, now, yes, I know most of you may say, well, they get access to Doomblade and whatnot, but between having four of them, cantripping a lot early to get multiples of them, and having Haunted Fengraf, it's hard for them to deal with it. And then you have one Ulamog's Crusher. I will tell you, I am not impressed with Ulamog's Crusher. I've been trying to get rid of it, but the problem is it's really good in the mirror. In the mirror, the person who plays the first Ulamog's Crusher and doesn't have it dealt with usually comes out on top, or at least that's what I found in the Pauper Tron mirror. I usually find myself taking it out a lot, but maybe that's just because I'm bad. It's very possible. And then 2 Rolling Thunder, just because it's Rolling Thunder. Can be a Wrath of God, can win the game. It just does it all. So that is the main deck. It's pretty stock, except for a few minor things. I mean, I have Flame Slash and only one Ulamog's Crusher. I have Mnemonic Wall, etc., etc. Moving on to the sideboard, I have 2 Circle Protection Black, which could become Circle Protection Green. It's just, in my experience, Mono Black Control has been making a comeback. I haven't seen too much Mono Green. But these could easily be switched out for Mono Green, depending on what you expect to see. I just am tired of losing to Mono Black and wishing that I had a Circle Protection Black in my sideboard, knowing that I would win otherwise, because when they get down to only being able to use Grey Merchant of Asphodel, or I think that's the name, it's hard to outrace this if it just gets going. Then you have 2 Circle Protection Red for Goblins and Burn. 2 matchups that are actually quite difficult without this, because they're quite fast. Then you have 2 extra removal spells in Journey to Nowhere. The reason why I picked this card is strictly because of Gurmag Angler. That 5/5 behemoth or fish, I guess, in this case. Hold on a second. I apologize about that. I really need to learn hotkeys for this. The 5/5 can't be dealt with by anything. It takes 2 removal spells to kill, and it can't be killed by Doomblade. So this, excuse me, for the small amount of mana, is really the best option you have, I think. I could be wrong. Also this is just a really good removal spell in and of itself. There's a lot of graveyard recursion in the format, so just removing the creature for some decks is just a backbreaker. Then you have Pyroblast for the blue decks. Blue decks are kind of a 50-50 with this deck. I mean, they eventually run out of counter spells, and you eventually just go over the top, but sometimes if they counter too much in the early game, you can lose. 1 Ancient Grudge against Affinity. Basically, that's really all it is. 2 Earthrift for the mirror. I find this card to be better than Stone Rain, but I'm mixed feelings about that. 1 Mole Splicer for aggro decks where you want to become just full-on control. It's good against Mono Black, it's good against White Weenie, it's good against, well, really anything, I think, except for maybe, excuse me, maybe the mirror. I think in the mirror this might not matter as much, but I guess it depends on the mirror. So I'm sure there are decks it doesn't come in for. So far I've been siding it in every matchup except for Goblins and Burn. So I don't know. I like this card a lot. The cool thing about it is it combos well with this card because you just get 3/3s a bunch. This is one of my, if not my favorite card in the entire sideboard. Not only do you gain 6 life, which is just huge, but you get to return a creature, or you get to return a land if they Stone Rained it or raised it or Molten Rained it, things like that. This card is so good I've tried to work it into the main deck, but I'm not quite sure how. If any of you have any suggestions, please tell me in the comments and let me know where you would fit it into the main deck. If you'd fit in as a 1 of, as a 2 of, as a 3 of, if you would go up to 3 in the sideboard, we'll see. And yeah, so that's the deck. We're going to take it into the tournament a little later. And, I hope I do well. I top-8'd my first time playing this deck, and then the next week some shenanigans happened and the tournament didn't come completed. So, we'll see how it goes. So that's Deck Tech, and thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the matches. I'll see you soon.